Hello, everybody. Corey here. Today is Thursday, May 23rd, and we are going to go over the trades and holdings of the YieldMax single stock ETFs. Just a reminder, I am not a qualified licensed investment or financial advisor. I am here to gather the data and present it to you so you can, form your own opinion of these and whether a whole is a YieldMax or individually for some of these, and hopefully find some of the information I provide useful and helpful for you. But just a reminder that YieldMax ETFs are extremely risky. These risks are defined on their website. Please ensure you know what you're investing in before doing so. And don't do a YOLO. Don't, just go all in. Anyway, we're going to start out here with AIYY. We don't have a lot of trades today, but we do have some. Let's see. I think I had done this before, and I tried to zoom it out and get it all on one screen. Maybe that was just with Ulti. I don't know. I don't know if this is... I don't know if this looks okay or not. I don't know. It's been a while since I've, I guess, put a lot of thought into it. I can't really make many of these smaller. But anyway, hopefully this is okay. I'm going to try to get it all on one screen so I don't have to go back and forth so much. But anyway, so we have one short call here. It expires tomorrow. So reminder, say it up front. Today was extremely red day today, so we're probably going to be underneath most of these, if not all of them. And then our synthetics, we're probably going to be way underneath those, which is not a good thing unless it's the short crash. But we do have a couple of months, so we'll just preface that up front, and we'll just say all of these expire tomorrow, unless it's one that says there's a couple that say May 31st already, and they should be in yellow on here. So you don't have to hear me say all of them, the expiration dates. And what's the other thing? And then I haven't done this in a minute, and nobody has asked, but just in case, just a reminder is how we, usually want this to work, is you want the stock price to be above the synthetic strike price and below the short call. So you usually want it in between those two numbers. So in this case, we would want it between 27.50 and 28, and it's at 23.94. So good for the short call, right? Because it means, looking at this, I don't know why it didn't happen today, but according to this, it would only cost 1 cent to close these out today. So I wonder if it's because when they went to do their actions, it wasn't 1 cent, and it just so happened to be 1 cent at the end of the day, because normally they would have just closed this out. So because that's the cheapest they're going to get to close it out at is 1 cent, right? That's the least amount. I don't know. I guess it makes sense, though. It's $24. It could, there could be some upside here if, of $1.66. I don't know if it matters if, they use this one or one for next week as far as the upside, but I don't know. I just observe. But anyway, we can see here, so like I just said, there is the possibility of upside, $1.66, but I will say that's never happened. I don't think I've ever seen that in the history of AIYY, that it would go up that much in one day. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. And I don't know if tomorrow will be a red day or a green day. But anyway, we're going to move on. AMDY, we have no trades here. We have one short call that expires tomorrow. We're underneath the strike price of 175 by 8%. We have a possible upside of $1.42. The stock dropped almost over $5 today. And then AMZ here. So let's go over to the trades for AMZ. So AMZ, they closed out the short call that was going to expire tomorrow. Strike price of 190, and yeah, they paid 3 cents a share to close those out. And if you were watching the daily roundup, we talk about those 2,000. You'll see those. They'll do something with those tomorrow. So, but you can also see that they added 130 contracts to the synthetic and a brand new short call for next week with the 185 strike price. But overall today they brought in $22,000 there. But let's go to the holdings so we can see those new trades right there. And so now we have 2 short calls, 187.50, which expires tomorrow, and then 185, which will expire next week. So we're underneath those 3 and 2%. Of course, almost all of our contracts are at the first strike price of 187.50, and we only have 130 contracts here for next week. But I guess depending on how trading goes tomorrow, they may just add those extra 2,000 contracts to that 185 strike price, but we will see. Anyway, if the market went up tomorrow, looks like there's a possible upside of 75 cents for this one if it could do so. If we move on to Apple, we don't have any trades here. We do have 2 short calls that expire tomorrow at the strike price of 190 and 192.50, and we're underneath those 2 and 3%. Looks like we have about a 40 cent upside tomorrow if the stock market goes up, or if Apple goes up. Coney, no trades. We have 3 short calls that expire tomorrow: 215, 222.50, and 230. We closed at 218.86, so we're above the first one by 2% or $3.86. But then we have the majority of our contracts at the 222.50 strike price. So it'd be nice if we could get to close to that as possible, or get up close to it but not go over it. Looks like about 36 cent upside if we could do so. But we have 22,000 contracts at that price, at that strike price. We're going to move on to Dizzo, no trades. We have 2 short calls that expire tomorrow, 104 and 105 straight price. We're underneath those 3 and 4%. So, yeah, I'm surprised those weren't closed out today because Disney doesn't move that much in one day. But anyway, we got a possibility of upside of 60 or so cents for these short calls should they go up tomorrow. Phoebe, no trades, 3 short calls that expire tomorrow. 472.50, 482.50, and 485. So we're underneath those strike prices 1, 3, and 4%. Possible upside over here of maybe 30 or 40 cents for the short calls for tomorrow if we go up tomorrow. GDXY. We have 3 short calls that expire. Strike prices 37, 38, and 38.50. We're underneath those 6, 9, and 10%. So it looks like, I don't know, possible upside of 50 cents to $1 for the short calls, and then of course some more for the synthetics if we can go up. We did start, I think it said, we looked it up in the other video, it opened somewhere around 1990 3 days ago, and we're at 1867 already. But anyway, I pulled up some charts during the daily roundup if you want to go look at it, just looking at some things. Please be very careful. Just me glancing at the chart and looking at historical over the past few months and couple of years, and the 200 moving day average. I don't know. I'm absolutely no expert and brand new to investing. But with what little bit I do know and what I see on the chart, there's a possibility that we could be coming way down I don't know what could make it come down, because that I have no clue, because I've never followed GDX. I don't know anything about it. I've heard about it. I've heard some other people talk about it, but not very often. And then I probably didn't listen to it half the time because I'd never, whatever. But maybe if everybody asks Mike, the tactical stock scalper, to look at this one, look at the chart, and give his opinion, then I think everybody would be more informed. I'm just cautioning with dollar cost averaging at this point, especially after looking at the chart on the video, because that's the first time I've looked at it, but I've been wanting to look at it. But looking at that, to me, I think I personally, yeah, I don't feel comfortable after looking at the chart. Trying to DCA down in this or buy more. I don't know. At least not anytime soon. If it goes down another $3 and gets close to that 200 moving day average, then maybe. I don't know, but it just looks like this came at a bad time when you look at the chart and it actually. I'll just bring it up really quick so I'm not just talking around it. And again, I don't know anything. I'm a nobody, but all we can see, this is where we're at on GDXY the past 3 days. These 3 red candles. This is the overall chart. This is the past 2 years. And that's, I didn't even look there. Yeah. So, I didn't. 52-week high was 37.47, and we just hit it. I didn't look at that in the last video. I didn't think about that. But yeah, we just hit that. But I'm just looking at the fact that this blue line is the 200 moving day average, or EMA. So I guess exponential moving average. But we tend, except for maybe here, we tend to go up and down with that, right, with the blue line. And here we've gone away from it, sort of like here. And then all we're doing is crashing back down below it. Not crashing, that's the wrong choice of words. Sorry again, I am new to all of this. But just looking here, let's say we are coming down. This is our 52-week high, and this is almost sort of, I think, what happened to Tesla. It started right, I think days or something, after days or weeks or something, then Tesla started tanking for the longest time. And that's how Tesla got to where it did at the beginning. But anyway, from here to here, we've dropped $1.30 in the GDXY. So to me, I'm thinking if we are coming way back down here somewhere, looking at the way these others have gone, that there's a possibility of dropping another $3 or so. But what do I know? But I know, for me personally, by me looking at this chart and the last few days, and now even looking at the 52-week high and everything else, I'm not buying any more of those. Anyway, I'm sorry, this happened during the other video and I spent too much time on this one, but that's just my caution to that. Now, who knows, next week these things might soar and go off, and then everybody will be mad because they listen to me after I've told you I don't know what I'm talking about. But for me personally, this is what I'm doing. So, you might, if I'm sure Mike will go over it if you ask, and I'm sure there's others out there as well that go over it too. Sorry, my throat's starting to hurt. All right, so anyway, let's move on from this. I'm sure most of y'all are tired of me talking about it. Okay, so then we have GUI. So we had, they closed some out. So they had a short call that expired tomorrow with 180 strike price, and it had 40 contracts, and they closed them out for 4 cents a piece. Cost them $160. So they will use those. More likely they'll use those tomorrow. But we have one more short call. It looks like it was a little bit more pricey. But it expires tomorrow at the 177.50 strike price. And that yellow is there just a reminder that we do have some 40 contracts that they'll use tomorrow. But it looks like we have about a possibility of 40-cent upside, for this. It went down 20 cents today. Sorry, I was just looking at the numbers over there on the side. I used to read the prices, at least the closing prices, every day, and I stopped, and nobody seemed to care, so I don't read them anymore. So then I don't ever really remember what the stock prices are, or I won't even know for days. I'm like, really, the stock price got down to there? Because I don't read them, so I don't look at them. But anyway, we'll move on to JPM or JPMO. We don't have any trades here. We have 2 short calls that expire tomorrow, 200 and 202.50 strike prices, which were under 2 and 3%. Looks like majority of our contracts are at that higher amount, so we're looking at about 45 cent there upside just for the short calls. And then if we go down to Murney, we don't have any trades. They did a bunch of trades yesterday. So now this one I was asked about today. And the answer is I don't know. But if you look, Murney stock price went down. Moderna went up. But the thing about the market values and stuff are, right, that's all options driven and IV and everything else. So it's not just as cut and dry as what is the stock price, right? If anybody wants to provide any more input than that, I know I said more stuff in the text and the Discord and everything. But also at the time that I'd said it, Moderna was actually, it was under 160. But it actually ended up closing above 160. So if anybody wants to provide more data in the comments for others, it would be greatly appreciated. But we do have this short call here for next week. We have a 185 strike price. And we are $20 below that, or 11% below that at 164. But it looks like we have a possible upside of $2.46 should this make it to 185. Man, I mean, that's awesome if it does. It's really awesome. I mean, it sucks for me since I sold all my Moderna, I think the day before this happened. And then, I sold out of all my money yesterday, before knowing they were going to do the trades. But because usually they don't do them this early. But also, I have watched and even traded Moderna over the past, several months, and I've watched them just go up to 120. I think once it went up to 130 and then drop all the way back down to like 100 or 105. And he just did that for the longest time. So I'm surprised to see it up here at this price. So, I mean, just because of what I've watched, then I'm just expecting it to go back down. But I haven't looked at the charts or listen to anybody else's thoughts on this, or I don't know, the news is what made it come up, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with this one. And this one, it just was down at like $20 and something. I thought like $20.50. Maybe it was a different one. It might have been Block or Squee, sorry. Anyway, MSFO. no trades here. We have one short call that expires tomorrow, and it does say 0%, but it is red. And looking over here, we closed at exactly 427, so we are $2 below that strike price. So we want the stock to come down a little bit for that one. I think this is the only one, if I remember from the daily roundup, this is the only one that we are above the strike price on. And then if we go to Misty here, we can see that they added 10 contracts to the synthetic position and created a new short call for next week with a strike price of $17.40, which sucks because it was higher than $17.40 this week. And I was going to sell my shares, and it was like, no, they're going to keep going up, and then they didn't. And now I'm sitting here wishing I would have sold them. Because it was just, anyway. I know, I'm talking about YieldMax ETFs, and I'm talking about trading or selling things here. But we also have the other short call that expires tomorrow at the 1830 strike price, and we're 16% below that one right now. Now, if we could get to that, it looks like we could have a $5 upside tomorrow if crypto decides it wants to run, but I don't know if that's going to happen. It would get us back closer. I mean, we were at, just recently, $34, $35. We've been away from that $40 price for too long. It'd be nice to get back up there. I just don't know about the one day. And then just a reminder, I haven't said it in any of my videos yet, but Monday is a federal holiday, so the stock market will be closed. Let's move on to Nepali. We have 2 short calls that expire Friday. With the 630 and the 655 strike price. I apologize for my throat there. We are over that first strike price by 1% or $5.67. 655 are underneath that, almost $20, but we're under it by 3% there. So not really any upside for the short calls in this case. But let's move on here. We have NVIDIA. So NVIDIA ended up, of course, rolling all their stuff. So let's see what we got here. All right, so NVIDIA, you can see the first 2 lines is closing the original, the 900. And I'll say 900. I mean the 900 strike price. And the new strike price for the synthetics will be 1,040, which means we want the stock to stay above 1,040. Where did we close? Under 140. All right. Just checking. And then you can see the prices over here on the right on all of that. So they made, just closing out that strike price, they made $85.3 million there. And then, of course, to open these, it cost $12.7 million. So if we do just the synthetics together, they brought in $72.6 million, which was needed, right? So they closed some of these out. And actually, I don't like that they don't do these positions, these things separate anymore, but I can see that people have closed out of this fund because we went from 51.90 to 49.50. So that means they closed out of 240 contracts in total for the synthetics and the short calls, because it did that on both of these. They used to list them all separate. But yeah, you can tell here that they've had to close out 240 contracts altogether. And then we have 49.50 for next week. But we had the 950 and 975 strike prices. Again, we closed at almost 1,040 today. So for the 950 contract strike price, for those 2,500 contracts, they had to pay $105.28 a share to close those out. My guess is, looking at that price and the strike, that was done earlier in the day when they thought Nvidia was going to keep going up versus going down, and it only closing was at $87 above it, and then they ended up paying $105. And then for the other one, they paid $81. And hopefully I'm not doing bad math here in my head. But we have 20, 25, 55, $63. And the next one, and they ended up paying $81 a share to close those out. So to close these two out, it cost $48 million. And then, of course, they also brought in some premium here for those. So if we look at that, it cost almost $41 million for the short calls. But again, they brought in $72.6 million for the synthetics. So you can see over here on the left, they actually brought in a total of $31.8 million. However, this right here scares me. Because now it needs to stay above that. Otherwise, it's going to cost us a lot of money in 2 months to close this one out. So, anyway, let's go back over here. So now we see the trades. We already went through all of those. So we can see here our new synthetics with the 1040 strike prices, and then our two short calls that won't expire until next Friday. Hold on, maybe I didn't. I just didn't say it over here when I talked about them. I talked about the 950, 975, but I failed to mention the two new strike prices, which is 1080 and 1085, which is just odd. They're only $5 difference. To me, that's like not that big of a deal when you're looking at these. So I guess it's just based on what was out there and the pricing available and everything. But anyway, it looks like possible upside there for the short call, somewhere around 50 or 60 cents. Of course, our synthetics prices can always bring this up as well. This is interesting. This is the NAV, and I rarely pay attention to this because it's usually not that different. But this says the NAV is $28.28, and we closed at $27.99 today. But anyway, let's move on to OARC. OARC, no trades. We have a short call. Expires tomorrow, $46 strike price. We're underneath that by 5%. Possibility of upside of 58 cents tomorrow. PayPay. All right. Thought I was going to go quick, and then I got stopped. So PayPay here. They closed out the three short calls that were going to expire tomorrow, 64, 65, and 66. And they rolled those to next week, next Friday, to a $63 strike price. They paid 2 or 3 cents to close these out a piece, each a share. Okay, and they did not use all of them. Yeah, so they use half of them. So I'll use the other half tomorrow once they see what's going to happen with the market. But overall, they brought in $72,000. So PayPay here, you can see that new one. And that's the yellow again, because they have additional to put on tomorrow. But we're currently only 2% below that strike price. And if we just look at yesterday's strike price, that's close. And if I remember yesterday or the day before, we were going down because of the news of all the companies with their like layaway. Well, I don't know what it's called. Buy now, pay later, or something being more like credit cards and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Because I didn't read it. I read a headline and that was about it. So I don't know. I guess they're expecting these to stay down after that and with the red market. But yeah, that's a lot. Hopefully, the one for next week that they can go a little higher, more back up to like 65 or something. But anyway, expires next week, and so it looks like we have about a 41 cent upside for the short call for this one. We'll see what happens tomorrow. And then we have squee. It's going to be the same thing. Oh no, it's not exactly the same. So these are all over the place. Okay, so let's look at the top three. The top three, 75 contracts. So they added 75 contracts based on everybody buying in. I was one of those. I was some of those. But anyway, 75 contracts, and you can see the prices over there on the right, but they added to the synthetic, and then they created a new short call that expires next week at $69. And then they closed all the short calls that were going to expire tomorrow and also put them at next week at the $69 strike. So they did have 71, 73, 74, and 75. We closed at 66.62. So again, that 69, that's close. You're 3%. And yeah, they pay 2 or 3 cents. Almost all of them are 2 cents a piece to close those out. So let's see what they look like on our holdings. So you can see here that 69, and we're underneath that by 3%, but they only used half of the contracts here. So we have more that we will see tomorrow. Well, a little more than half there. But just based on these, it looks like a possible upside of 70 cents a share for the short calls there for this. Tesla, we didn't have any trades, but we have 2 short calls that expire tomorrow. We have strike prices of 180, 185. We're underneath those by 3 and 6%. It looks like we have possible upside of around 75, 80 cents just for the short calls alone. So we will see. And then we have Zomo, no trades, 2 short calls that expire tomorrow, 119 and 120 strike price. And wow, we closed way down today, so we were underneath those 5%. And yeah, we could have closed those out for 1%, 1 cent a piece today. So I'm not sure why some of these they closed them out when they could and why they didn't on others. I don't really know. But anyway, looks like possible upside on this, which I doubt we're going to jump $5.50 tomorrow, but it looks like upside of 79 cents. And then we have crash. Trades. You know, yeah, okay, we're good. So they closed out the short put that that was going to expire tomorrow at the strike price of 162.50. This one only had 30 contracts, and they paid 6 cents a piece to close them out. And then if we look over here, we still have 1 short put left that expires tomorrow, 172.50 strike price. And we are over that by 1% at this point. So again, we have 163. So tomorrow they'll do these along with the other 3. We'll have positions put on for next week. And let's see. Yep, I think that's pretty much it. And yeah, so this data is not right because I'd copied and pasted this, and I keep forgetting that. What it is I copy and paste stuff, and then I remember I have to go back to crash, and I have to change my where my formula brings it in as a short call, and I have to change it to a short put, and then I have to change the long call from what my formula fills it in as synthetic. So then when I do that, I have to copy and paste over these formulas all on the right because they're different for the puts, the short puts versus the short call data. And then when I do that, all this data changes this data on the left, and I forget, and like this is wrong also, I forget that I also have to copy these formulas back over. I've got to do a better job of remembering that because I think that's 2 days in a row now that I've done that. But anyway, if you wanted to know why MAG closed at $19.99 and YieldMax closed at $19.94, so they were both under $20. But I know I have all the prices for everything on the daily roundup. But anyway, sorry for the long video. Appreciate you hanging in there if you did. So let me know if you still enjoy these videos. I know these were my least watched videos, but I noticed that we've been having more views now on these single stock ETF videos, or at least the last few days. So I don't know if there's picking up interest, or if it's because everybody's wanting to look to see how Crash is doing, or GDXY. I don't know. But anyway, hopefully I got something out of this, and I will talk to y'all later. And if y'all don't hear from me in the next day or two, I hope y'all have a great weekend. And I will talk with y'all later. Bye.